What's going on? It's your boy Sean and Ev here. SEVelocity, episode 6, I believe, talking some basketball, full podcast. Let's get straight into it. First, Sean, would you like to say anything to the people before we get into it?
Yeah, welcome back to the show, everyone. Again, glad to be here. This is what I look forward to. A heavy Saturday. Hope you guys do too. Let's get right into it.
All right, so first topic. Clippers versus Suns on Thursday. We recorded, we talked a bit, we made some minor predictions. I believe we both said the Suns were going to win. I did say at the end that if the Clippers were to win a game, this would be the one. Turns out Clippers win by, I believe, 13, 15 points, around there. Devin Booker folded. What else can I tell you? Chris Paul returned, had 12 assists. He played all right. He didn't play above expectations or at expectations, maybe a little bit below. But we expect that for someone who hasn't been on the court in a couple days, a week or two. Um, Recovering from COVID. It is what it is. I believe he was vaccinated, but he tested positive nonetheless, so you're not allowed to be on the floor. Um, Clippers side, playoff P showed up, 27 points, 15 rebounds, 8 assists, I want to say. Overall good performance. Another good game from Reggie Jackson, who's been playing very well. And Zubac is in the starting lineup, it seems like, pretty permanently. I do want to give him a quick shout out. I flamed him last week. He got 15 rebounds going against DeAndre Eaton, and I think in a game that's driven by rebounds, that is important. Lastly, I want to give a shout out to Terrence Mann because I've said it at least 100 times that if the man scored 40 points, how is he nowhere close to the starting lineup and only getting 15 minutes a game? He started this game and they won. He got 32 minutes played and he scored 12, I believe. But he shot well. He shot above 50%. So, other than that, I don't think I have anything to say before we go into the straight up details. I just wanted to give you all the facts. Um, in terms of DeAndre Eaton, let's see, he had 18. He shot over 15%. Had less than 10 rebounds, though. He had 9. Chris Paul, 12 assists, like I said. Devin Booker was the one that bothered me. He shot 5 for 21. Believe he only had 5 or 6 assists and 5 rebounds and 4 fouls. So let's talk about it. We already talked about how rebounds drive the league and who wins the game. So I think that's pretty clear. DeAndre Eaton's gonna have to play a little bit better. I think it could just be an off game, not a big deal. It's they're up 2-1. Zubac maybe had an above average game, but shout out to him. Like I said, he played outstanding for in terms of rebounding because I think that's all they were really looking for. They weren't looking for scoring. Um, but mainly the three people I'm going to be focused on are Reggie Jackson, Devin Booker, and Paul George. Um, those are the three main points. Paul George is the player of the game, in my opinion. Played really well, all around, all facets of the game. Um, Reggie Jackson's been playing consistently well. I think that we used to expect, like 10 to 15 points from him a game, a couple assists. Now we're at a point where we're going to start expecting 20 from him because he's been doing it every game. So shout out to him, playing extremely well. Hope he keeps that up. And then Devin Booker folded like a chair. So we'll talk about that. Just remember, everyone called him the next Kobe about 3 days ago. So definitely want to talk about that because I don't think that's true at all. Um, Let him be Devin Booker the first instead of Kobe the second. So, Sean, what do you got to say?
Well, my takeaway: Paul George showed up, and as I said before in one of the reaction videos, it's interesting how much better and more consistent he's playing without Kawhi there, and less conflict on the wings. But have called out the key to the Clippers' success was putting Terrence Mann into the starting lineup. So to his credit, he was absolutely right on that. Um, as you also said, and as we raved about earlier in the week, rebounds can be a very decisive factor in the game, and I'm pretty sure if you look back in 90% at least of basketball games that are won, the winning team wins on the glass as in addition to like total points scored. Um, let's see, Devin Booker. I didn't watch the game to its entirety, but I did watch the majority of it. Patrick Beverly did play some really impressive defense on him. It wasn't just a random Beverly, trying to injure somebody. He actually played some legitimate defense and probably got in Booker's head a bit.
It
Um,
was it was physical defense and mental defense,
yeah,
which is important.
but I think the for Booker shooting at, would you say 5 for 21?
Yes.
I here's the thing. I think the reason why it's glaring at us right now is because it lost. Because I believe in like in the previous two series, Booker's had one of those games where he shot like a low field goal percentage. Maybe not necessarily to that extent, but similarly. But the thing is, when he does, that's when Chris Paul explodes. So then we kind of like ignore it. We're distracted from that and rave about Chris Paul. So and Chris Paul again, he just came back. So he needs to get some games under his belt to get his legs back. But honestly, but yeah, it was a bad night for Booker. Even even Aiton, after hit that game winner the other day, the crazy alley. But he, I mean, I don't think he necessarily played bad. He played decent at best. Uh, I don't really recall Cameron Payne's performance that much. Uh, let me see. Let me look at some stats on that really
I think
quickly.
that is something that's definitely worth noting.
Yeah,
He only played four
yeah,
minutes.
two. Yeah, well, 4 minutes and only 2 points. And they play who? Cameron Johnson. They played 30 minutes. I was under the impression that Payne was supposed to be the sixth man.
I think we're
But
all under the all under that impression.
yeah, so I don't know what happened there. Maybe we could also say Ty Lue outcoached Monty Williams that night, perhaps.
Hmm.
Um, but now I see your point about Devin Booker Kobe comparison. On first, I gotta ask you a question, Evan. Are you just totally against some modern players being compared to their predecessors, like drawing comparisons in their styles?
I generally don't usually like comparisons.
Okay.
I think that to be fair, there is situations where a current star is, let's say, worse than the predecessor, but there's also cases where the star is better than the predecessor. So it works as almost a disrespect to the predecessor or the current star in the way that's worded. And no disrespect to Devin Booker, but he's very young into his career, and I feel like it's very unfair to call him the next Kobe Bryant, especially when Pat Bev was able to get into his head last night or the other night. So I, I, I feel like it's easier to draw that comparison maybe when he's 35, 40 years old, closer to retirement. But right now, I don't think it's fair.
Well, I have completely different opinion on it. Well, I'm more indifferent towards it. Like one, I don't care about the whether they get compared or not. I don't see it as like well, I see it as like a compliment to the young players, but I don't think it diminishes the greatness of the veterans. Like, if anything, I feel like if the young stars are being compared to you, in a way, it's like a sort of a veneration. One, your name is remembered, and then when you're looking at the players, it almost gives the modern viewers like some nostalgia as to your greatness. But I don't view it as like a comparison on like who's better or worse than the other. It's just like because you know that the vets they're out of the game. When you see like these modern guys and you see certain skill sets that they bring to the table, I think it's just a sense of nostalgia that kicks in, and you're like saying, wow, it reminds me of this guy. Obviously, every player, no matter even like the MJ and Kobe, no matter how similar they played, there's always some level of discrepancy between them.
I
But I don't think it's a really a comparison of like who's better or worse. And as you point to like when they're I think when they're in their 30s, like as you said, 35, at that point, I don't think it should be a comparison of whether um like you played like that person or not. I think that's the point where you debate who's the better player. But when they're young and coming into the league and like you're just scouting the players, and I feel like when you're going into analysis, you tend to like look back at like the old guys as as a sort of precedent, as a point of reference.
Mhm.
So I just have a different opinion on it.
I just think it adds unwarranted pressure on the younger star. So it's like, okay, everyone's calling you Kobe, so now you're on
Like,
these Kobe Bryant expectations to be almost flawless from here on
hey,
out for the next 10
hey,
years of your life.
hey, hold on. It's nothing compared to you, like LeVar Ball saying Lonzo's gonna be the next Magic Johnson.
Exactly. So like I
Yeah,
think that was extremely unfair to the Sun. LeVar
yeah,
Ball kind of screwed him,
yeah.
and I don't think that's fair to anyone. And yeah, LeBron was compared to MJ, and I'm not gonna say I'll leave that for everyone here whether or not he lived up to those expectations. I think he played extremely
But
good basketball, but that was
but that's a different kind of comparison. Like that's more so a comparison of like
greatest of all time.
of
Not yeah,
legacy.
not
Yeah.
game
If
style. I get that.
if anything, he's more compared to Magic Johnson,
But then you have poor souls out there like Ben McLemore, who's compared to LeBron before he even touches an NBA court. And
which was ridiculous because I don't see any
where is he
similarities
now?
in the game. Yeah, but even then, I don't see any similarities in their games. Um, but as for Booker, I mean, the Kobe comparisons didn't just start. They came back because of he's in the playoffs now. But when he scored 70 points back in what, like his second year, it
Yeah.
was brought up then because because the last time we saw a big scoring performance like that, it was Kobe's 81.
And I know Kobe trained them too, so I understand that's a part of it.
It's just their offensive skill sets. I think that they're comparing like their moves and whatnot.
I just really wish those comparisons would maybe um, arise during post championship Suns potentially. Maybe after they win a title instead of doing it before they even get there. So
But again, but it's not a comparison of like who's better or worse. Like I'm sure every single person who draws those comparisons will say, "Oh no, Kobe's way better." Every single one of them. But I
no,
think it just like when you're seeing in the moment and like his skills that he brings on the table, just saying, it reminds me of Kobe.
yeah, I think he has a very similar offensive set, and I'm not saying. Yeah, I mean, like Kobe's clearly better, just because of veteran alone and how long he's played. But I'm more saying just from the perspective of like, if you're comparing his game style offensively, then you have to compare his game style defensively, and if you're going to compare his game style offensively and defensively, you got to compare his or his game style mentally and how he approaches the game and the way he goes about it. So I feel like if you're gonna compare his offense, then you got to compare the rest of the facets of his game. So, and I don't think it links up as closely as everyone makes it out to be.
Like he's not the on-ball defender that Kobe is, and then as for the perimeter shooting, like I think Booker is a way better three-point shooter than Kobe, or Kobe was a better scoring inside. But we see that they had the all-around scoring ability and like the move they bring to the table. Like defense isn't really something that like you can really compare like necessarily style. It's just whether you're a good defender or not. But like offensively, you can like pick up on someone dribbling patterns. There's certain moves they like to do, whether it's the up and under or reverse or whatnot.
Um, would Kobe let Pat Bev get into his head?
No, but I'm pretty sure Tony Allen's gotten into his head. I mean, plus we could also bring this up as I'm not. This isn't towards you, but to the Kobe fans out there who won't even admit to me, they just act like it doesn't happen when comparing him to LeBron and other people. You remember that '04 Pistons team who didn't have a single like generational talent over there with Kobe and Shaq. What did them in? You're right. No one on. I don't think anyone on the Detroit team got in Kobe's head. They play stellar defense, but more so Kobe and Shaq's beef was in his head.
That's fair. That's fair.
I don't think Booker's had that kind of beef with his teammates.
I just think that Kobe is a way less emotional player when on the floor. He
Yeah,
I mean, he shows that he cares, but like it's more of an anger and like push the rest of his team to get better. Whereas Devin Booker, you see on the floor, I'm not gonna say all the time, but you see him get into quite a few scuffles.
yeah,
Whether it be with Jokic or um, Pat Bev this series, you see him exchange words quite often. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. It's okay to be competitive, but there is times, and that's in all facets of any sport, where that does get in your head and it does affect the way you play. So
yeah.
I think that and that's not something that he just that's not something you can't get rid of. I think that's something that you, as you get older and more become a veteran, you learn that you don't have to play into that crap. You just play your own game. You show everyone this is how I play basketball, and that's kind of what Kobe did. I'm going to let my game speak for itself, and I think that
Mm,
he's going to get to that point where he's going to say, okay, you're going to trash talk me, sure, I'll give you 40. Um, just right now,
yeah.
he's letting people talk to him, and he's letting it
Mm.
affect him.
It's also his very first playoff run as well.
Exactly.
So
So he's
yeah.
he's new. I get it.
Hmm.
So it's
Plus,
it's
I think
nothing.
with veterans around like Chris Paul, like they're usually the ones to reel in the young guys.
And everyone watching and Sean, understand I'm not trying to flame Devin Booker because I really
Yeah.
do like Devin Booker. It's just I don't like when people compare constantly to NBA legends. I think it's unfair to both sides.
I
But
think it just it depends on like the level of comparison. If you like, if it's a comparison of like what they accomplish and stuff, then yeah, that's too premature. But if you're just saying, looking at this guy,
game
oh,
style,
it
yeah,
makes me think of what he used to do. Like, I don't think there's a problem there.
yeah, okay, that's reasonable. So, um, anything else that you wanted to potentially add to? Oh, actually, I wanted to add a few things to Clippers versus Suns. Now we're gonna shift it to what can the Suns do to return a game back. Um, and I'm gonna say this pretty simply. Cameron Johnson, or I'm sorry,
Yeah, it was Cameron Johnson.
it is Cameron
Yeah,
Johnson, right?
yeah,
He should play a little bit less. No disrespect to him. Um, but I think that Cameron Payne is a very good player, and he's probably starting caliber on most teams with the way he's playing. Outside of the teams with all-star point guards. I think that Cameron Payne needs way more minutes. 4 minutes does not cut it. So similar to Terrence Mann, start playing your good players and give him more time on the floor. And it's not to diminish Cam Johnson, but I think he should be playing a little bit less. I think that the biggest issue that they had is I think they started to get worried that they're getting out rebounded, so they put Cameron Johnson out there, who they felt probably could get maybe a couple more rebounds than Cameron Payne can. But I think that you should ignore that and you play your own game. Sure, you might get out rebounded. Let DeAndre Eaton do him, but understand you're way better shooters than the Clippers are. So play like it. You have shooting as your strength. They might have, you know, uh, people around the key to use down low to for their game style. So play your shooting game style. Work mid range and 3 point. Let them work down low. You know, let Zubac do what he can, but or let you can go against Zubac all you want, but like just focus on shooting, man. That's all I'm gonna say. You guys got to keep shooting, and if Devin Booker's not open, you got to give it to guys like Cameron Payne and Chris Paul. Don't be afraid to put Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and Cameron Payne on the floor at the same time. I know that's three smaller players, but you keep DeAndre Eaton out there and maybe Jay Crowder, you'll be just fine. Because with that, Pat Bev can only guard one of them, so the other two will be open most likely at some point to get a good shot. That's all I'm gonna say.
Honestly, I think it's time to just get back to what you've already been doing. It was just a bad a
Yeah,
bad night.
just be you.
Yeah.
I think that Devin Booker played bad, and I don't think that's going to be something that happens every game. I think DeAndre Eaton had a below expectation game. I don't think he necessarily played bad. And then Chris Paul played decent for coming back, but again, not at expectation. They all just play, like you already said. Usually, if one of them plays bad, the other two play good, or someone plays really good. So I think it was just one of those off nights for all three of them, and I don't think it'll happen again.
Yeah.
Um, and then in regards to the Clippers, keep playing Terrence Mann. Uh, keep him in the lineup. I guess keep Zubac in the lineup. Don't bother with Boogie Cousins. I think that Zubac in the lineup is going to work way better than Batum if you're facing DeAndre Eaton for now. And just keep working with Terrence Mann.
And Paul George, keep it up. You're rewriting your narrative.
Yeah. And Reggie Jackson, play exactly as you are right now. I have not had a single criticism for him all year in the playoffs.
I also think Ev that maybe I don't know if you think this is premature, but I think it's about time you issue an apology to Ty Lue.
I flamed him again last week. I think I issued a somewhat apology. half decent apology to Ty Lue 2 weeks ago. Um, I'll give him a little bit of credit now. I think that Ty Lue, I am sorry. I understand. I can't even look at the camera to say that because I I don't know if it's just the lineup that he's working with, but I haven't seen this Ty Lue before this year. I'll give him credit. He's using the pieces the way they should be. I think it's also important to understand he's not just trying to make adjustments in the game. You could see that he's making adjustments to the starting lineup every game to see he's tweaking everything to see what works. So like I
Yeah, he's
believe
an active coach.
I believe the first game Batum started, game 2 and game 3 Zubac started, but game 2 I'm pretty sure Boogie Cousins played just as much if not more than Zubac. And now game 3 he played Zubac the longest out of the 3. So I think he's starting to realize that you know you're going to need that big man out there, and out of the 3, that's the best one for him, at least against the Suns. And it could be all matchup based. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses, what works well, what doesn't work well. So I think that Zubac fits well against the Suns for them, even if DeAndre Ayton still beats him in that matchup. It's the closest out of the 3. You're not going to put Nick Batum on there because he's smaller than him by a pretty good amount, and you're not going to put Boogie Cousins out there because he's going to hack him until he fouls out. So keep it up. I'm sorry, Ty Lue. Um, you're still going to get criticism, though, when you can't properly put the claw in your lineup and have them play good basketball consistently. So I'm almost worried if the claw returns. I think that it'll definitely help, but you need to figure out how to make that work fluently with the rest of your team. That's all I got to say on it. Um,
Fair
I think
enough.
Ty Lue has been a top 3 coach in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I want to put him above or below Nate McMillan. I mean, Nate McMillan, it's pretty easy to roast him after last night's game, but to be fair, everyone has a bad game every once in a while. So, and same with Monty Williams with the other night's game. So those are the top 3
Yeah.
though, easily. Um,
Yeah.
moving forward to Nate McMillan, uh, man, they got absolutely steamrolled last night against Milwaukee. They were down 35, I think, by halftime. Um, not much I could really say outside of that. That's pretty embarrassing. But I'm gonna say it was pretty weird because the most scored by anyone was only 25 by Giannis. So normally you would see at least a 30-point performance or something like that. But he only had 25. I believe Trae Young had 15. Chris Middleton had 15. No one played particularly perfect basketball. Milwaukee played good team basketball. No one scored a ton of points, but they all got the ball and they all shot pretty well. My biggest shout out's going to go to Drew Holiday, though, because we both expected him to just be the big defender to defend Trae Young. And I know he gave up 48 in the first game, but not all of it was really his fault. There wasn't a lot of good help defense. I think there was a clip with Trae Young shimmying after the pick on Drew Holiday. I think that should be noted that Bobby Portis had no intention of going out there to chase Trae Young, so that's why he shimmied and then he drilled the 3 rate with everyone 20 feet away from him. So I don't think that was necessarily Drew Holiday's fault. Anyway, Drew Holiday has not only been a defensive asset in this series so far, but he has been a offensive asset. He's been the number 2 option. Not technically. I understand Chris Middleton's the number 2 option consistently, but in regards to scoring, he has been the number 2 guy for them in this series. And I don't
And
know if it's
passing.
yeah, I don't know if it's scheme fit or it's just Trae Young's defense. But I applaud the way he's playing, and playoff Drew Holiday should be acknowledged, especially in this series. Um, Giannis played really well. He had 9 rebounds, I believe, and 6 or 7 assists. Chris Middleton had 8 assists, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check real quick. Yeah, Chris Middleton had 8 assists. Giannis had 6 assists. They both rebounded really well. I want to point that out. 47 team rebounds compared to Atlanta's 34, which was the other way around the game 1, and Atlanta won. So I want to point out again, I feel like there's a direct correlation to winning and losing with rebounds. I think Budenholzer's whole trying to think of the word for it. I think his whole plan for the team going into that game was to crash the boards because I think everybody was rebounding. I mean, they were really trying to get into the key offensively and defensively. You saw Brook Lopez play a lot more offense this game. He had like 15. He had more rebounds too. I think just all around, his whole lesson was to make sure everyone rebounds because I think he saw that as an issue in game one. Uh, John Collins played okay. I don't think he played very well defensively for in regards to the Hawks. Trae Young didn't play good. He admitted it. He admitted the game was on him. Um, but not a lot of them took many shots. I mean, there was the most shots taken was 16 by one guy, and that was Trae Young. But that's still not a lot of shots, and he only made 5 of them. So I think that should be noted. You need to take more shots. Need to get more rebounds. Um, you need to play better defense. I mean, that was the worst part. I think that they played awful defense against the Bucks last night. Um, and Nate McMillan's going to have to come up with a solution to contain the key because right now, Giannis, Brook Lopez, and even Chris Middleton are getting into the key and causing problems. So you're going to have to fix that. And then Trae Young is going to have to play at least a little bit better defense on Drew Holiday, even if it's not the best of the best. You cannot be giving up 25 to 30 from Drew Holiday every game because you will lose every game like that. With Chris Middleton, you're lucky Chris Middleton's been kind of cold in this series. Giannis has played well, Drew Holiday's played well. Chris Middleton's kind of been middle of the line. Once Chris Middleton shows up and Drew Holiday's still scoring 25, you have no chance. Um, that's all I got to say in regards to the Bucks. Great team effort. Hawks need to, in my opinion, maybe use Bogdanovich a little bit more. He only got 15 minutes. I think you need to have more perimeter shots, 3 pointers. Trae Young shot 1 for 8 from three. That's a big issue too. Bogdanovich only shot 4 threes. He made 2 of them, but he only got 18 minutes. He's one of your key starters. I think that you should treat him like that. So I expect more from him and John Collins in Game 3. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I think this win for the Bucks was them and I guess credit Budenholzer to do what they should have done from the very start, exploit the size advantage they have over the Hawks. Like that's why they should be out rebounding them every night.
I want to.
Um, and going in, crashing, running into the key. Like the Hawks, their style of play, like in a way, they kind of depend on their perimeter shooting more than the Bucks. The Bucks, in a sense, they rely on perimeter shooting for floor spacing for like guys like Giannis to get inside. But for the Hawks and against teams like this, they depend on their perimeter shooting because they're a smaller team than the Bucks. So I think it was smart and to exploit that. I mean, they should be out rebounding them every time, and like they should be trying to get to the rim more. Um, as for Trey Young, again, I don't. I think if this was again like we said for Devin Booker, like it would probably be a bad night for him because I'm predicting he's probably gonna score 30 points the next game.
My
Um,
my problem
go
is
ahead.
that compared to Devin Booker, I feel like you see those Trae Young bad games way more often. Um, like
Oh
he
yeah,
had he had like two. I think he had two against the Sixers, and I think he had 2 or 3 against the Knicks. But the rest of his team played really well too. So like it didn't matter.
I think part of it, Trey Young's shot selection. Like to this day, like I don't care for any play, whether it's Steph or Damian, those logo jump shots. I'm against it. Like I really am.
I don't care what you
Like
say. It's a bad shot.
yeah, it's a bad shot.
That's what
Like
PG said to Damian.
yeah, like, and I totally agree. Like, there's no reason for you to be settling for that. I mean, I get it. Like, if let's say you have a good lead and stuff, and you're feeling it in a moment, you take one, fine. But I think he does it too frequently. Like, and
Yeah,
in
I think if
pivotal
you're absolutely
moments.
hot, I think if you're really hot, then yes. But if you
But
you can't
again,
just
you
do
you
it
got to
because
limit it.
yeah.
You have to limit it.
Um, I also want to say this is the first game I think that the Hawks got outcoached. Um,
Hmm.
it doesn't happen often because I do think Nate McMillan is one of, if not the best coaches in the playoffs. But he didn't make any good adjustments to even come close to coming back from that game. He gave up pretty quickly. I think by the third quarter, almost everyone on their bench played a couple minutes because they pretty much conceded the game, which is different than what they did against the Sixers. They kept fighting down 25 and came back and won. But I think that there's plenty of adjustments you can make to have a chance of winning. I think that, like you said, like I said, you need to have Bogdanovich play more. But you know, I understand they're bigger than you, but you still have John Collins, who's near All-Star level, and Clint Capella, who's basically an All-Star rebounder. I'm not saying an All-Star in general, but that's what he does. That's his job, is to rebound. So I think that it could have just been a bad day from those two, but Giannis and Brook Lopez made phenomenal adjustments. So you're going to have to make a counter adjustment. Are you going to double down on the key and you're going to try to fight back on Giannis and Brook Lopez to get those rebounds? Or are you going to try to shoot more deep balls? Like, what's going to work? And like you said, Trae Young had a bad game too. So when you're getting out rebounded and your star player shoots 1 for 8 from three, there's no chance you're going to win. You know, you could still get out rebounded, and let's say your guy shoots 10 for 15, or I'm sorry, like 6 or 7 for 8 from three, then you still have a chance of winning. But shooting bad and getting out rebounded, there's no chance. And they just never found a rhythm. So I'm curious to see how Nate McMillan approaches it, whether he's going to set more pick and rolls or picks down near the key, um, mid-range shots. I think that they should focus on mid-range, not necessarily the key. Like John Collins can shoot really well. I don't think he needs to go down low to score. And Clint Capella doesn't really get the ball much anyway. So if you double down on like John Collins, Danilo Gallinari, Herder to shoot either threes or mid-range shots, I think you'll do just fine. You just can't let Trae Young shoot you out of the game too in the process. Keep Clint Capella down low though to rebounds while they're doing that.
No, I think it's time we roll into a very interesting topic to what the great Shaquille O'Neal said. Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek Freak, is the best big man in the league. Now, me, I'll say I completely disagree with that take because despite the fact that Giannis is 6'11", similarly to Kevin Durant, I really don't consider him a big man per se. Because when I look at like power forward and center, I'm thinking about guys who like one operate more off the ball than Giannis does. Because Giannis, like at least scoring wise, he pushes the ball out in transition a lot, and sometimes he assumes a point forward role with passing. And again, he's always playing face up, driving to the rim. Whereas when I think of big man, like power forward and center, I think of guys who like play it with the back to the basket, like the ball brought to them in the post more, like Jokic and Embiid, although they do, especially Jokic initiates a lot of the time, but they play with their backs to the basket in the post. I mean, they can pop out and shoot jump shots, but a lot of their offense is initiated with their back to the basket, whether they fade away or use footwork. Also, Anthony Davis, like I think a great example, like from a power forward perspective. Oh, he does have the skill sets to go face up that he does sometimes. Again, I consider him more. If I were to classify them as a big man versus a wing, I would align Giannis more in the wing category than Anthony Davis. The same thing, play with the back of the basket. So that's the only reason why I'm against it. But like I know in the past Shaq has said that Giannis is the most dominant player in the league. Like it reminds him of himself back in the day. Like that much in a way. Well, for today's era, it's most dominant player I can't agree with because I mean, if he's a guy that most teams their defensive scheme is to build a wall against you in the paint, that means they're clearly dominant inside. So from that perspective, yeah, dominance, yes, but in terms of best big man in the league, no, I disagree.
I I want to say that I kind of agree with you. I think if you ask me who the best power out of power forward and center, who do you think the best player in the league is? I might say Giannis. But when you say specifically big man, where I think, okay, you're solely supposed to be down low, dominating the key, and not much else, then I feel like it's hard for me to call Giannis the best big man. I think that you could put Jokic first. I think you could put Embiid second. Um, maybe Anthony Davis at third. But if I'm going best power forward and center, like I'm just talking about the player themselves and not really big man technically, then I'm going to say maybe Giannis because he can do everything. And I know Jokic is near that level too, where he can bring up the ball sometimes every once in a while. But like I feel like you have to like Giannis is a great ball handler and he's capable of doing a lot of things, but I don't think that solely like I consider big man to be mostly post moves and rebounding. So like uh, that's what I consider to be a big man. So like when you talk about the position, sure you can stretch it out through a few different definitions, carrying the floor, doing multiple different things. But when I would consider Giannis more of a extremely big small forward who plays power forward. Like he does more small forward things. So
Yeah, just
it's
like Kevin Durant.
yeah, it's not fair for me to call him the best big man because he's not technically a big man. He is the best power forward in the NBA, but he's not the best big man because he's not necessarily a big man.
Yeah.
It's a weird terminology, but I feel like you understand what I'm saying. So
Yeah, I think and we could draw another parallel. I mean, we're gonna talk about this guy later, but like Ben Simmons, like on a point guard, like me, like I personally hate calling him a point guard because he's like 6'10".
yeah, so it's like the position classification makes it different, but calling it's like calling. I'm trying to think of a good example. I think Ben Simmons is a pretty good example. That's fine.
Yeah,
But he's not necessarily a big man. He's a big man, but he's not a big man.
yeah,
So I don't think Giannis is necessarily the best big man. Nikola Jokic is, um, because he does the most big man things, but he also does a few things on the side, um, while maintaining the big man status of doing mostly big man stuff. Same with Embiid. Mostly same for Anthony Davis. Okay, and it's fine for centers to be able to shoot 3 pointers. I'm not diminishing a big man for shooting 3 pointers and being good at it. It's just when you're doing mostly stuff outside of the key, and I know you're dominant down low too, but when you're doing mostly stuff outside of the key, then I can't call you a big man. So I'm not going to put him in that
mhm.
class. So no, no, he's not the best big man in the league. Nikola Jokic is. He's the best power forward in the league though, over Anthony Davis. Yes,
Nah,
I think that Giannis and LeBron could do better than Anthony Davis and LeBron.
definitely not. Definitely not. Let me ask you this: is Giannis gonna is he gonna hit the game winner Yo Kobe from the three?
No, but I will say this: when you have Giannis, who needs someone to have a really good distributor with him, I think that LeBron does that really well. So I think that would fit Giannis's game tremendously. And as long as you can have someone manage to set pick and rolls for you, and you have LeBron distributing as another part of that, I think that it's very easy for Giannis to become even better than he is now if he had LeBron next to him. More so better than Anthony Davis.
But
Where
Anthony Davis has always been a better off the ball player than Giannis. Always been. Giannis, where does most of Giannis's points come from? Like, let's look at the season because that's when Giannis has been at his best. Transition, pushing the ball in the fast break, pick and roll, inferior to Anthony Davis. Playing in the post, posting up, definitely inferior. Anthony Davis is a more skilled player than Giannis.
if
Giannis
you
is more explosive.
if
Eh,
Giannis and Anthony Davis were guarding each other, Giannis would wreck him.
No way. No way. Like Anthony
And that's
Davis,
all facets of the game.
he's more skilled. He's more skilled. The only thing I honestly give Giannis over Anthony Davis, like I'll say for sure, undoubtedly, is Giannis is a better passer than Anthony Davis. But that's it. Well, no, no, no. Hold on. That and driving to the basket. I don't know if you can still hear me. Are you still hearing me or what?
Sadly.
Okay. Driving to the basket and passing, yes. Post moves, Anthony Davis by far. First, a jump shooting, that's not even a debate. Like but I will say this because I know how you are. If I had to like rank like who's played the best this year, obviously I told you I've been disappointed Anthony Davis in the beginning, but I'm the same. Them playing at their respective best, I take Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis, like I really don't know how you can honestly sit there with my or even a straight face and consider Giannis a more skilled player than Anthony Davis. Like skills post moves, footwork. Honestly, I'll even say even handles. Anthony Davis, he has more crossover than Giannis. Giannis is more
Oh my
explosive than
gosh!
him. Giannis is more
Oh
explosive,
my
and
god!
he's more ball dominant.
Stop it!
But
Stop it!
post moves, Anthony Davis by far. You want to say pick and roll? Yeah, Anthony Davis, he's been doing that with or without an elite playmaker by his side. Sorry, if you keep trying to crown your boy, but skills wise, he's not a more skilled player than AD. If you want to say more dominant with explosiveness, fine.
What
Defensively, as definitely, undoubtedly, I pick it AD.
what did Anthony Davis do on his own without LeBron?
What did he do on his own without LeBron back in New Orleans? Let's see. The only team he lost to in the postseason was the Golden State Warriors with Kevin Durant.
He
As a
put
matter of
himself
fact,
there. He was the eighth
when
seed. He put himself there because of his bad regular season performance.
bad regular season the performance? No way. The only reason they were in the playoffs was because you were putting up. Yeah, it's funny how not let's get into numbers because Giannis has a recently putting up these nice 40 point 20 rebound games. Anthony Davis been doing that back in his New Orleans days, especially that season when they got Boogie got hurt and then start losing a lot of games. But Anthony Davis putting up 50-point games, 20 and grabbing 20 rebounds. He brought them up into I believe it was the sixth spot. They played the Portland Trail Blazers, and what happened? Anthony Davis averaged like 40 points that series.
I if you had to let me ask you something.
Yeah.
If you had to pick one that was more likely to get a triple double, who would it be?
More likely get a triple double. That right there, I would say, Giannis. But that's
Thank
because
you.
Anthony Davis he plays off the ball more than Giannis does. Giannis was the one initiating offense and
Because
passing.
he's
I
not
told you
capable.
he's a better passer than him. But who's a better pure scorer? Anthony Davis for sure. For sure, inside and outside, definitely Anthony Davis. Free throws, definitely Anthony Davis.
I don't know where we're seeing this Anthony
Deep, deep.
Davis. He's disappeared for the last 2 years.
A lower usage rate than he had the past years. Giannis has always had a high usage rate for his team. As a matter of fact, this is the first time we've ever seen Giannis actually be a real postseason threat. Like I kid you not, last year, how much heat did he get? What's it called after he getting knocked out by the Miami Heat? After Wendell back-to-back MVP, even he himself said, "I don't want to be called the best player in the world." What's it called? Despite the MVP stuff, because
But
he's hard on himself for his postseason performances.
that's
Before
fair.
then,
But
his shooting,
we're talking about
his
being
shooting
better than
has
Anthony
all.
Davis. We're not talking
Yeah,
about best player in the league. We're talking about Anthony
all right,
Davis comparison.
all right, and and Anthony Davis, he's been a better postseason performer than Giannis always. Like Giannis, once you take away the jump shot and that transition game, he's always amounted to practically nothing.
I
That's
thought
not been the case.
I thought that
Anthony Davis was never spaced out with shooters like the way Giannis was.
I thought we were talking about overall player in general, not just playoff performance.
Overall play regular season back then in New Orleans, you know that Anthony they were putting up monster numbers just like Giannis. In fact, you were raving about him what he was doing, having the performances too.
I was raving about him, but I didn't say he was better than Giannis.
You were saying it back then, that's for sure.
No.
Yeah. Oh my god. I wish we were doing SEVelocity back then. Everyone, he's lying right now on air.
How? I that what the year
You
that
are like,
Giannis won MVP?
you said no when you started saying that Giannis is better than Anthony Davis, and it's funny. This is actually hilarious. Now the more I think about it, you started saying that the moment he went to the Lakers. That's yes, that's when you started saying it.
Because somebody named Anthony Davis started playing well below expectations when he joined the Lakers.
Well below expectation, but they went all the one. He was getting a lot lower usage rate.
I don't
In New
care if he
Orleans, he
won.
was literally getting the ball literally every single play. He won. He especially when they checked him in as center. When he went to the Lakers, his rebounding averages were reduced. Why? He wasn't rebounding as much. Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee was doing that.
It's easy to
Scoring
call.
wise, he why he had another scorer alongside him like LeBron,
It's easy to
taking
call.
less shots than he was.
It's easy to call someone better when they get to play with LeBron.
But I've been saying he's better before that.
I think he was performing better before that, but now
He he was always a better player than Giannis.
no, no, not now, not now.
Definitely. Yup. When everyone comes back, everyone playing at peak performance, Anthony Davis better than Giannis. Like I'll tell you
What
this
is his
too.
peak performance? We
I'll
don't
tell
know.
you this. I'll tell you this now. Well, I don't know about you. Tend to think players just jump off the cliff, but I don't know where that comes from. But I'll tell you this: the Milwaukee Bucks team. Bet you Dave would have had more postseason success in the past years with Anthony Davis there instead of Giannis.
Stop it.
Because what was it that hindered them every single time? Giannis's inability to shoot the ball. Even the games where they showed up, his
You know,
teammates showed up. His lack of shooting hurt him.
you might be right, but I'm gonna say this. When it comes to the regular season, you'd probably be a 5 or 6 seed and not the 1 seed going into that playoffs. So you would have to go and face a better team and still probably get eliminated in the first round.
Oh heck, no, no way.
You're not putting up
Again,
what is it, 65 wins like Milwaukee did under Giannis?
but actually, why not though? Anthony Davis would be spaced out with a bunch of shooters around him.
No, because Giannis can do more.
That is false.
He can handle better.
He's not a better ball handler than Anthony Davis. Drive and pass. That's all he does better than Anthony Davis.
I cannot wait to put this poll on Instagram to prove a point
Go on ahead.
because I think most people outside of yourself believe that Giannis is a better player than Anthony Davis.
Sure. Probably
I
because of the stats he put up regular season.
I think when you go into this threshold, there's usually the superstar threshold of Kawhi, KD, and LeBron, right? And we don't know where Kawhi is because of recently, but I think once you get outside that threshold, people instantly put. Well, I guess now Steph too, with the way he's playing. So I guess you'll put Steph in that threshold too. But usually the first person that comes to mind is Giannis to come right outside that threshold. So, and then maybe AD at 5, 6, maybe. I mean, you got guys like James Harden, Giannis, and Anthony Davis are usually the next three that come to mind. So I personally, I think James Harden at his peak this year is probably next, but then I would probably pick Giannis then AD.
AD's better than Giannis. I'm sorry.
Well, no one's going to concede their argument tonight, so if you want to just move to the next topic.
Oh, I've been consistent on this in the past years.
Yeah, but players change. They can get better or
What
worse.
what has changed for Giannis? Like
Uh,
literally, if you want to see the AD, like I even told you, this was a bad year for AD. Like that much I concede. But I'm honestly not. I'm telling you, I'm not predicting him playing poorly like this on this upcoming season. I don't know what was up with him. like I'm not even gonna talk about the injuries. I'm saying even before the injuries, like he's been playing below expectation. Like he's fallen off from his postseason run.
The difference is Giannis is about to reach the finals with Chris Middleton, not LeBron James.
Y- Wow. Well, first of all, in the oh, now this is hilarious. In the Eastern Conference, 1, 2, who up against the Brooklyn Nets without Kyrie Irving. It's funny. Now I'm gonna quote you on our previous episode, or it might have been a reaction when you say you didn't want to hear the injury excuses and stuff. Now it all makes sense because you didn't want to hear anyone use that against Giannis. I want you to tell me right now, if Kyrie Irving was playing, would you have still picked the Bucks to beat the Nets? Do
No,
you even think it would have even went to Game 7?
no, not a chance. Because there's three
Okay,
All Stars. They're
okay,
three of the top eight
oh,
players in the
okay,
NBA.
but you're saying, but you want to bring like Giannis is about to make it to the final. Also, take into account, I don't think there's a team out in the West that disappoints their fans like the way the Sixers disappoint their fans. And you know I was rooting for the Sixers, so that's a collapse. Like what I saw, they probably would have collapsed against the Bucks as well.
Who did the Lakers beat to get to the finals with AD?
They beat the Denver Nuggets.
Okay. Did they face did they face the Warriors with health? No.
The Warriors weren't even in the
That's what
playoffs.
I'm saying. They didn't have healthy people. So
Kevin Durant was gone, but that Denver Nuggets team, did they not come back from 2-3-1 deficits? That was a very tough team, I think.
I think it was a tough team, but you're gonna take Jokic and Jamal Murray over Harden and Kevin Durant?
Well, you know what? That in that moment, that time, that year in the playoffs, yes.
I don't think I agree with you. Who else did they beat? They beat the Trailblazers, right? So Damian Lillard on
Yeah.
his own, and then who was the series in between
Yeah, in between it was the Houston Rockets
with James Harden and Russell
and,
Westbrook,
and Russell Westbrook.
which never worked out in chemistry. I'm
Yeah,
not diminishing the Nuggets' loss or win because that was a big win.
yeah.
I'll give them that. That
Yeah,
was a
because
strong team.
if it wasn't them, it was going to be the Clippers, and if the Clippers blew a 3-1 lead
That's on the
against them,
Clippers. That's on the Clippers.
yeah, exactly. So like, there's literally nothing the Lakers could have done about that. They were waiting for the Clippers. You and I both thought it was going to be the Battle of LA,
And then, not to mention the person you faced in the finals.
but yeah, but hold on. But even about that in the finals, did you ever not tell me that you felt like Anthony Davis should have gotten the Finals MVP?
I did. I did.
Okay.
He played well. I think Giannis would have played better.
Nope.
I think if Giannis
No,
is
no.
on the Lakers with
Whoa, whoa,
LeBron,
whoa, whoa, whoa,
Giannis.
whoa. Hold on. The same Giannis. No, you can't even use that excuse because they were who had the number one. Who was the number one seed in the East that year? It was the Bucks. It was the Bucks. They were better. You know. Oh my God! You know that you probably had them sweeping the Heat probably in that first round,
I had them
or
winning.
at best a gentleman's sweep 5. Oh, the Heat capturing one game, and everybody slept on the Heat. And the reason why I know this is because when I told you that the Heat would beat them last
Oh, I
year,
laughed in your
you got
face.
heated.
I laughed in your face. I
Exactly.
I want to say that I said Bucks in 6, but I said that those two games were going to be super close that Miami took. I did think that the Bucks would blow them out in most of their games. I'll tell you that. But the Heat managed to go and run through a bunch of other teams right after, play pretty well defensively, and then chose not to show up against the Lakers.
I know. Well. First of all, but tell me this: who do you think was the? As a matter of fact, that in that Heat series, it was just straight up like if I were to pick one player to say it was because of them they lost, if like it would have to be Giannis because looking at what you had around him, Brooke Lopez, Chris Middleton, all of those guys, they showed up and played. They
No,
showed up and played, especially their contribution for who they were up against in the Heat. They showed up and played, and I'm pretty sure most of those games the Heat lost, like one, like in all the other series, they won them in like very close, like single digit games. And the one game that the Bucks picked up against the Heat was when Giannis he didn't play in the second half.
I think that there was one specific difference that makes this Bucks team way better than this last Bucks team that you're talking about.
Well,
And one of
obviously
the biggest,
Drew Holiday.
well, yeah, and I think that Eric Bledsoe was very, very good at destroying chemistry on the floor. And I'm not saying that it was his fault they lost, because Giannis played terrible. I'll give you that. Giannis played awful that series. But Eric Bledsoe was no help whatsoever. So,
Well, I was actually easier on Giannis than that because the thing is, the reason why I was easier on him is because it went exactly as I suspected. They walled him off in the paint. Giannis is done right
he
there.
went
And
one
two,
dimensional. Yes, he went one
the
dimensional.
second thing was that Jimmy Butler in particular, he kept putting Giannis in foul trouble, so he was picking up early fouls in the game, and Budenholzer had to take him off the court.
But
Those things.
while that was Giannis's, that was the year he won MVP, right? While
Yep.
that was his MVP year, I think this current Giannis is way better than that Giannis.
Well, the only reason why I'm saying why I'd say that because this is the first time we're actually seeing Giannis like show up in the postseason, and I think that
You,
him not having the ball in the hand as much because before he was always the one initiating the Bucks
I say
offense.
now
So
he's distributing too.
Drew Holiday being the playmaker now because he's actually really been more so the main playmaker. That's made a difference.
And
He doesn't
Giannis is
have to be the
distributing.
ball handler as much.
I think that
Huh?
that should be. Giannis is distributing too. I
I mean, he
he's
is.
getting six or
I
seven
think
assists
he's.
every game now. Where he was only
Well,
getting like two maybe in his MVP year a game. So like
no, I think he was averaging like 6 back then.
I think he's gotten better as a passer. Um,
The thing is, he's not getting the ball. He's not the one bringing the ball up the floor as much.
listen, man, I'm just gonna say it. Giannis is a better player than AD.
Nope.
I think that Giannis is one of those few people that can carry a team into the playoffs on his own. I don't think AD is one of those players.
Wow. Wow. That no way.
You got the eight
Let me
seed
ask,
with Boogie
let me ask,
Cousins playing.
let me ask you this. Because keep in mind who AD's competition was in the West while he was on New Orleans. Wasn't it not still with the Kevin Durant Warriors? The West was tougher then. Now, if anything, the league is more evenly balanced because the West has regressed. But let's do this though. Yeah, if you swap them, put Giannis on the Pelicans teams, you think they would have made the playoffs
Mhm.
more frequently than AD over there?
Higher seed. I would say 7 seed.
No way. Well, with AD there, he's brought them to the 6th seed.
I'm saying higher than the 8 seed where they got eliminated. They faced the
High,
Warriors in the first round, right? And they were the 8 seed
yeah. Like,
with Boogie,
look,
right?
no, no. That was in the second round, and Boogie didn't play because he was injured. That's when he tore his Achilles in the season. He didn't touch the court in the playoffs at all. Like he got injured like a little
I
bit before the All Star break.
I think that that team earns a better seed with Giannis than with Boogie Cousins and AD.
So you're saying with Giannis and Boogie Cousins, or
I
or you saying just Giannis?
I don't know because listen, I think that Giannis and Boogie Cousins is an absolutely awful combo, and I would almost think he's better off playing without him. But I think that you do need someone to protect the rim and rebound, so maybe with Boogie Cousins, I suppose.
For 80, Boogie's not a rim protector. He's a rebounder, yeah.
No, you know what I mean. He's a star player still at the time. He
All
was a
right,
star player.
yeah. No, yeah, like but he wasn't gonna give you rim protection. What he was gonna do is
No,
give you like points and rebounds.
yeah, he was the lead player. It's just most centers get referred to as rim protectors. Elite rim protector. I know he's not. I understand. Um, I just don't think Boogie Cousins and Giannis would have been a good combo. I
Okay.
I just don't know what would have been better. It all goes back to one thing though.
All right.
Giannis is
We're
better
gonna
than
have,
AD.
we're gonna just agree to disagree on that.
I say we're gonna have to just move forward because
Yeah.
No one's gonna concede your argument.
Yeah. Now this is now here's the I'm going to introduce a topic because you know I was dying to get to this. Ben Simmons trade destinations. Philadelphia 76ers. As I said before, I do not want to see that light skinned Australian man on this team next season. Get him off the team. And but here's the thing now. From what I heard from ESPN First Take, I heard this from Stephen A. Smith that one of the teams that is might be a probable destination or is showing some interest is the Golden State Warriors. Now we know that they're not going to trade Steph or Clay. That we know. Putting Ben Simmons there with those two shooters would be the best thing for Simmons. But now here's the catch, and I know exactly why you're laughing too. Who they would probably trade to the Sixers is Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, maybe. If that's what the Warriors are offering Philly, no. But if you can get I don't really understand how like how the 3-team deal stuff like really works. You understand that better than me, Ev. But if they can get a third team like involved, or I believe I've even seen a 4-way deal before where they can get like other assets in that route, yes. But if it's just a straight up trade to the Warriors, you're trading Simmons to get Andrew Wiggins and Draymond Green, absolutely not.
I could see a situation where a three-team trade happens between Portland, Golden State, and the Sixers, with Ben Simmons going to the Warriors, Andrew Wiggins going to Portland, and CJ McCollum going to Philadelphia.
That I'd be 100% on board with
I would assume that
100%.
Portland would probably get some other compensation, whether it be a bench player or a draft pick,
Yeah,
but I could see
probably
that
probably a
happening.
pick. Yeah, honestly, Philly, put the picks in. Like we get it. Trust the process. The process happened. You got good. I'll say the process worked in the sense you did get good picks. But is failed because your picks haven't lived up to the expectations.
Embiid's the only one.
Yeah, enough with the picks. No more process. It's time for now,
I
right
I
now.
I do agree. There's most of the teams that take the leap to go from process to okay, this is our time. Start trading a boatload of picks. I believe the Clippers traded 5 picks away, and I understand that the Clippers have kind of been below expectations, but now they're a couple games from the finals. Um, you're at a point where there's this tight window where if you don't trade for someone or you get more star power, you're likely going to lose Embiid at some point. You're probably going to lose Seth Curry, and you're in this point where you got to show them that you can acquire more talent to help this team. So I feel like you're on the train of where it's either you bet on Joel Embiid and you put help around him, or you have to lose Embiid the next year and restart all over. So it's a difficult decision. I think it's pretty clear. You have the first or second best center in the league, and a bunch of good role players, including Tobias Harris and Seth Curry. I think it's pretty clear that you bring in a good shooter like CJ McCollum or somebody else to maybe get that one missing piece that would send them to the finals. And
Mm.
I'm gonna say,
A shooter who can also close
and a new coach.
with the clutch gene. I'm You see, I'm gonna say this for Dark Rivers because I was with Brett Brown as well. I gotta say I'll give him one more year because I don't really like the idea of like just
You can't
jumping and
do one and
firing
done.
coaches like
You
that.
can't. You
Yeah,
can't.
because, 'cause first of all, you know that's one of the reasons why I cannot stand the Knicks. It was like a firing coaches left and right because again, like because it's hard to really point out necessarily when it's really necessarily the coach's fault because there's some accountability on the players to like do what the coach asks as well. And Ben Simmons, we've seen as a problem for way before. The reason why we look at Doc Rivers is because he made the same mistake at Brett Brown, in a sense protecting Ben Simmons' ego, like using him too much. So, but if they get rid of him, I say give him another chance.
It would be interesting if you guys put in a bunch of effort to get like Fred Van Vliet too. That'd be a decent acquisition.
And I still remember I cannot believe like I was honestly aggravated like the past years when people were saying, oh, Philly needs to do a trade and Embiid and Simmons can't play together. So that I can't believe it's even a debate No, no, no. Hold up. Don't put your hands up. This is where I'm going. I'm not so much that they need to make a trade. I cannot believe that people actually sat there and debated whether they should keep Ben Simmons or keep Joel Embiid. That's what pissed me off. I was like, from the moment I was like saying, obviously Simmons. I cannot believe the people who would have wanted to keep Ben Simmons over there. I think it goes back to the whole, like I said before, the bias that you have nowadays towards guard play, essentially like ball handling. But Simmons' ball handling ability without an ability to shoot does not make him a more valuable asset than Joel Embiid.
I will ask for some credit because I've told you for countless years that someone needs to go, and I prefer it be Ben Simmons. So I feel
Actually,
like
there was actually a point where you said Embiid because of Simmons' point forward abilities, the versatility. But
I
you did what's it called finally concede that nope. You said Embiid is
yeah
just way better, more
the
valuable.
the
But I was never totally against the trade idea, though.
the
I
big
never was totally
yeah
against it.
the biggest thing that I flamed with Embiid was you have to trade one of those. If you had to trade one of those two, and Embiid keeps continuously getting hurt right before the playoffs, then you need to get rid of him. That was
Yeah,
my whole gist. He was healthy for these
mm,
playoffs for the most part. He was still hurt,
yeah,
but he played well enough to warrant staying. So it definitely has to be Ben Simmons.
yeah. Although even Simmons is not as frequently as Embiid, but he's another injury headache.
So you wouldn't want Ben Simmons for DeMar DeRozan?
No,
Why? He's a pretty good
no.
shooter.
N- mid mid range. All right, mid range jump shots, yes, but I definitely more so than Ben Simmons. I trust him to close, but I do not trust him to close. Not at all.
It's fine. You can get Andrew Wiggins instead.
Oh my God, I'm about to walk off this set. No, no, no. Look at what he did for the Warriors.
I hope to
Yeah,
God you traded for
I'm crying for
Wiggins.
you, Steph Curry. I'm sorry you had Andrew Wiggins on your side.
I,
Don't worry, your boy Clay's back soon.
I could see a situation where, like I said, the three-team trade with Portland's Warriors and Sixers. I could see Portland getting. I could see the Sixers sending Ben Simmons to the Warriors, and then, like I said, Portland getting sending CJ McCollum to the Sixers, but Portland getting back, maybe Kelly Oubre and Andrew Wiggins together. Like I could see them keeping both of them. I mean, Kelly Oubre is weirdly inconsistent. He either drops 20 or almost zero. So I don't
He's
know. And
consistent on the defensive end.
yeah, I do like him. So because I could see there not being as much of a need for Kelly Oubre if Ben Simmons comes in.
Yeah.
So I could see him being expendable. I'm
Yeah.
curious to see. It'd be hilarious if you get Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah, I know you'll be laughing, and I might just decide not to come on the show if that happens.
I would go out of my way to buy an Andrew Wiggins Sixers jersey.
And again, I will probably just not come on the show for an extended period of time.
And then Ben Simmons averages 30 on the Warriors.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe what 30% from the field.
Who better to help him learn how to shoot than Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and not to mention Steve Kerr on the bench?
There's no teaching that. There is no teaching that. No, absolutely not. First of all, we don't even know how good a teacher Steph or Clay will be to the shooting. They're like, wait, Ben, you can't shoot, but it's that easy for us. I mean,
Yeah,
I've been shooting all my life. You want to learn to shoot? Shoot. That's literally what does he need to do? What has Giannis done to get better at shooting?
shoot.
Shoot. Exactly. You're not going to sit there, read a textbook on shooting and become a better shooter. He can try and perfect his form all he wants. You got to go out there and shoot.
There's there's one other trade I wanted to propose to you that I think you might like. So if you work out like a deal where you send Ben Simmons, let's say, to the Orlando Magic straight up in exchange for Markel Fultz.
I'll confess on this though. I've watched Markel a couple times. I see improvement, but I haven't watched him closely enough to necessarily give a definite opinion on that. I know, well, I mean, it's not saying much, but I know he's a significantly better shooter than Ben Simmons is.
I
I
have
need to
faith in
watch
him
him
to
some
get
more.
better. He's just a little bit injury prone. I think that he keeps getting hurt, but when he plays, he's pretty good. So it's just we haven't gotten to see like a full sample size of him. So
I
I
also need to decide if it's just because he's getting a higher usage rate on a bum team.
that true. That is true.
Mm,
Um, well, would you like to add anything before we wrap up?
no, I'm good.
All right. Without further ado, I hope you all have a great rest of your Saturday night and your weekend. Enjoy Clippers versus Suns tonight, I believe, and Bucks versus Hawks tomorrow. Quick predictions if you want to give them. I'm gonna say Suns tonight in a close one, and I'm gonna say Bucks win Game 3 as well.
Yeah,
It,
I have Suns tonight, and
first
like
game in
I told you,
Atlanta.
yeah, I told you I don't even really care about that series. So I mean, I'm just, I guess I'll just say the Bucks.
All right. So without further ado, have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy some basketball, and we will catch you during the week.